What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Donald Trump has officially lost his mind. Officially lost his mind. Let's go. We about to get into this. The title caught my eye by surprise. It was on my timeline. I'm like, no, I got to react to this with my people. You know, this is crazy. Trump to the Atlantic. I run the country and the world. Man, if you're new to the channel, like, comment, and subscribe. Now, you don't have to do all that, but just comment and let me know where you're chiming in from, and I'm going to holler at you in the comment section. Besides that, let's get to this because my man has gone, he's crazy. Let's go.
President Trump says during his second term, he runs the country and the world. That is from his latest interview out just minutes ago, marking his 100 days in office. He sat down with a team from The Atlantic in the Oval Office for their cover story. Part of that team was editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg. You might remember him as the guy mistakenly added to a group chat about military plans in Yemen. He was invited on purpose for this interview. When the Signal group chat came up, Trump told The Atlantic reporters that he said to his staff, quote, "Maybe don't use Signal, okay?" Joining me now to talk about this is Michael Scherer, staff writer at The Atlantic, one of the journalists behind this latest interview. Michael, thanks for being here with us this morning. What was the vibe?
Thanks for having me on.
Trump was very annoyed with the Signal chat story. So let's get that out of the way. How was it behind closed doors?
Well, this story was a long journey. We've been reporting it for a couple months. We interviewed him in March by phone after he publicly denounced me and my reporting colleague Ashley Parker as being lunatic, leftists, and liars. But then when we called him, he took our call. We had a perfectly fine, gracious interview. Obviously, after that, the Signalgate thing happened. He attacked The Atlantic ruthlessly. He attacked my boss, Jeffrey Goldberg, ruthlessly. By the end, though, and this is just last week, he was in a far more conciliatory mood. You know, the tone of that exchange was very respectful. He was, acknowledged the success of the Signalgate story, wasn't doing what he did in the days afterwards, which was to deny anything improper had happened. He mentioned to us, for instance, that Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, was getting his act together, and he'd had a talk with him. He admitted that the national security advisor had gone through a difficult time as well.
What this article does in a lot of ways is give us a sense of his thinking when he was in quote-unquote political exile after he lost. And he describes his first term. He's like, look, the first time I had two things to do, run the country and survive. And he said, I had all these crooked guys. This time around, he's really feeling like he is in charge. Can you talk?
Well, you got who's on your team now? What are you talking about? Look at this Signal situation that happened twice. Really, bro?
About how that thinking is infusing his approach.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember back during the campaign, Democrats would argue that there would be no boundaries on a second Trump term. It would be very different than the first. And it turns out they may have even been understating it. Trump overcame something that really no president, no leader has overcome before. If you go back to the days after January 6th, where you have multiple Republicans voting to convict him in the Senate, you have, most of the party, corporate America cutting him off, social networks cutting him off. He was able to come back to power. And I think that experience, which is really what we tried to explore in this story, informs the boldness with which he is governing now. He really doesn't see many boundaries to going after people he perceived to be his enemies, even if he's doing things to them that he objected when government did to his allies before. He feels fine doing it now. I mean, his economic policies obviously are very disruptive and of questionable effectiveness. And that comment about running the world, I mean, he truly does believe that he has enormous leverage at this point, not only within the country, over the other parts of government, but over, a number of conflicts elsewhere in the world. I mean, at times during that interview last week, he was talking to us about intervening in a negotiation over a dam being built in Ethiopia and continued disputes in Serbia. He's a deal maker all the way through. I think the difference is in the first weeks and months of his first term, he felt a little bit underwater. He didn't have the people in place. He didn't really understand the town. He didn't understand how the government worked. He feels like he has
He
a
still
much better
don't.
understanding now.
He's
He
also
still
surrounded
don't.
by people who possibly understand him better. You were writing about the fact that some of his White House advisors have learned to, their approach is follow ideas when he says something twice. Can you give us examples or give a sense of what this
What the
means?
hell?
He sounds way more.
Hold on, what? Some of Trump's advisors have learned to operate by an unofficial rule. They make sure to do things after he says them twice. Yeah, what kind of child daycare is this? The man can't say it one time and you guys act. He got to say it twice. He says a lot of.
Are in charge, and the people. Everyone says the people around him acquiesce a little more, but like, how is it playing out?
Yeah, acquiesce is one way of describing it. I think I would say, the people around him don't feel like they have to manage him or prevent him from doing what he wants to do. They advise him. They sometimes tell him, there's downsides to this, and they try and discourage him from doing things. But it's really different from the first term, where you had a number of chiefs of staff who either were outwardly refusing or quietly refusing to carry out orders, or maneuvering behind the scenes to get him to change his mind. That's not the mood right now. That line about if he says something twice, we know to do it, really comes out of the fact that he says a lot of things. He has a lot of ideas.
They said he says a lot of shit.
That came up when they were discussing what to do with the Kennedy Center during the transition. He had the idea, after reading a story, that he wanted to be chairman of the Kennedy Center. He didn't get to go to the premier performing arts institution in America the first term because he was shunned by artists.
Bill Clinton. Yeah. Okay, Bill. Bill isn't. Bill is back there. He's not clapping. That's right, Bill. Don't show that fake support. You don't support him, get him. Don't clap for him. That's the way you talk about your wife. You better not be clapping. Let's look at Bill.
He didn't get to go to the premier
performing
arts.
He is clapping. Man, come on, Bill, bro.
Because he was shunned by artists, and he decided.
Okay, you give him half a clap.
All himself this time, and they figured out how to make that happen.
Where's Obama?
Well, Michael, thanks so much for talking with us. There's a lot of great stuff in this story, including around that question about whether or not he wants to run for a third term. You can check out that article, this interview in The Atlantic, which is out now.
Damning with faint praise at the highest level. President Trump with his most loaded comments yet about embattled Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. In an interview just published in The Atlantic, the president said of Hegseth, quote, "I think he's gonna get it together. I had a talk with him, a positive talk, but I had a talk with him." With us now, Maura Gillespie, former advisor to then Speaker of the House John Boehner, and Democratic strategist Chuck Rocha. Chuck, I think he's gonna get it together. One other way of reading that is he hasn't had it together.
That means I'm going to give you a little bit of a leash. You ain't got far to walk, boy, because you finna get in trouble because he's about had all he can take.
What are you doing?
We're probably going to talk about some awful polling numbers that he's got coming out in his first 100 days as well. And he don't need this Pete Hegseth thing hanging over him along with all these horrible polling numbers all at the same time, all as we're running.
Is this guy serious?
Coming up in New Jersey.
Hold on. I thought he was joking when he started talking. He seriously talks like this?
Because you finna get in trouble because he's about had all he can take of this. We're probably going to talk about some awful polling numbers that he's got coming out in his first 100 days as well. And he don't need this Pete Hegseth thing hanging over him along with all these horrible polling numbers all at the same time, all as we're running into elections coming up in New Jersey and Virginia. He's trying to get this off of his plate and get it focused on things that are positive around him and not these negative things.
More, is this a glass half empty
Who
or
is this
glass
guy?
half full? It's like Pete Hegseth, call your office. The president basically says that he doesn't have it together yet, that he's going to get it together? Or is it half full in the sense that he still has a job this morning?
I mean, for Pete Hegseth, he still has a job this morning, but for Donald Trump, he doesn't need this distraction or these, essentially making him look bad, right? He doesn't want his administration, anyone else, to be taking away from what he is trying to
It's too
show
late.
the world and the American people he can do for them. Unfortunately, I think that there are certainly some downsides and some things that people are frustrated by. But certainly the inequities and the really like inexperience that Pete Hegseth has shown time and time again, even in the 2-3 months he's been in the job, is pretty egregious.
I want to put up one of the poll numbers that Chuck was just talking about there. There are all kinds of polls to mark the president's first 100 days in office, which is officially tomorrow. And the CNN poll just out, I just think one number that encapsulates everything is his approval rating among independents, which is at 31%, 67% disapprove.
Yes.
That's low, Maura. You know, to put it in perspective, that's about
Doesn't get him up out of
what his
there.
rating was in January of 2021 after the insurrection. So this is really, these are bad numbers for independents. Why do you think it's happening?
Because of the economy. I think that there's been this declining confidence that he is going to actually do what he promised to do in that regard. And so independents who wanted to vote for him because they wanted a change and they were not impressed by the Democratic Party, which Republicans at large still poll higher on doing something about the economy than Democrats do. But this is a sign that independents are no longer as confident in Donald Trump to address it, since he thus far has not.
To what extent, Chuck, is the economy and his ratings on the economy the anchor dragging everything else down? Because his numbers on everything have been sinking.
Affordability. That's where it's at, and the economy is tied to that. Let's be clear. This is the most unpopular president in the history of all presidents. He likes to be number one. Well, you're number one, big boy. You got to take ownership of this, but he's only number one in second place to himself 4 years ago. And I say that not in hyperbole, and that's my big word this morning. I say that because it matters. When you look at all of the things that's happened in this administration. Think about what James Carville said in his New York Times. He said, Democrats, if you just sit back, they'll sink their own ship. Well, it looks like he was about right, because Democrats haven't done something big to make these numbers go down. You've just seen him do everything wrong.
That's right. That's right. He sank his own ship, and it's still sinking. All the way to the bottom. Yeah, this dude is crazy. He says a lot of That's right. He says a lot of nonsense. I run the country and the world. No, you don't, man. No, you don't. Delusional. That's what you run. But yeah, guys, let me know what you thought about this video. I'm going to catch you in the next one. All right?